There are 5 ways a narcissist will insult you, but not for the reasons that you might think. Why do these secret weapons work so effectively, and what is the actual motive behind their tactics? There's a hidden agenda behind these words, but the real question is, can you spot it? I've dedicated over 2 decades to unraveling the complexities of self-worth and narcissistic abuse. I'm not just speaking as a coach, author, or teacher. I've also lived it. Imagine that you've been working hard on a project for months, putting in hours, sacrificing your weekends. When you finally share it with your friends, one of them comments, "Wow, that's really nice for someone with your limited experience." And you feel this pang of doubt. Was this project not as good as you thought? On the surface, it sounds like they're acknowledging your effort, but there's that twist of the knife, that hidden barb that introduces doubt and diminishes your achievement. If you're an empathetic person, you might try to dissect the comment. You might wonder, am I overreacting? Here's the rub. These comments aren't just off-the-cuff remarks, and they aren't accidental. They are meticulously crafted to destabilize you, to introduce that seed of self-doubt. To a narcissist, this style of insult is simply a tool that gets them what they want. But what do they actually want? Let's see if you start to spot the pattern here with the next style of insult. Imagine you're sharing a heartfelt story with someone you believed to be a close friend, and as you finish, she casually changes the subject, or worse, she subtly mocks the emotion behind your story, and suddenly you feel exposed and foolish, wondering, was I too open? Did I embarrass myself? This insult is about ignoring or trivializing your emotions or experiences. The silent message being conveyed is your feelings and stories don't matter. You might wonder if you've overshared, or if your feelings were too intense or simply unworthy of attention. When something vulnerable about you is dismissed or ridiculed, it hurts. For people like us, it's really easy to misread this tactic. You might think, maybe she doesn't really relate to my story, or maybe she's heard something like this before. But even though these types of insults are designed to make you feel small, that's not the true motivation. Notice that this tactic, like the previous one, is not just about the immediate discomfort or the fleeting hurt. It's a calculated move, but you've got to know what they're after, which takes us to the next insult. So imagine this scenario. You've just shared a major win with someone you thought would be happy for you. You're excited and brimming with pride, but he instantly deflates your joy. He says something like, "Oh yeah, that's good, but did you see what Jody did? She's really something." And suddenly, instead of feeling supported, you're left feeling as though you're never enough. This insult leverages the natural human instinct to want to measure up, to be acknowledged, and to be validated. By always placing you one step behind someone else, the narcissist chips away at your self-esteem, ensuring that you're in a constant state of striving and never feeling good enough. Over time, you might internalize these messages like, why can't I be as good as Jody? Or what's wrong with me? And why is it so easy for her? It's important to recognize the cruel intent behind these comparisons. The narcissist doesn't necessarily believe that Jody is better. It's not really about Jody. It's about what the insult does to you, a ploy to keep you in the game. But what game are they actually playing? Let's see if you can spot it in the next insult. Imagine that you've spent months working on something difficult, a piece of art, a first draft of a book, a website for your new business. It's been a challenging process, and you share it with someone you trust, hoping for a bit of recognition or at least a word of encouragement or understanding. Her response, "Oh yeah, I did something like that once. It was really easy for me. Why was that so hard for you?" This tactic is truly toxic because it directly targets your motivation and discipline. By dismissing your hard work as something anyone could have done, narcissists attempt to strip away the value and meaning of your accomplishments. Even worse, this type of insult is meant to train you into thinking that your efforts don't matter, that whatever you strive for isn't really within your control. It trains you into seeing yourself as helpless and hopeless. It might be tempting to think that they're just trying to keep you grounded or to keep you from getting too arrogant, but that's not what this is. It has nothing to do with humility and everything to do with diminishing your sense of self. Before we look at the underlying motive for all of these insults, let's look at the last narcissist tactic. So imagine that you've written a group email for work and you CC'd everybody on the team, and instead of taking you aside and having a private chat with you, your narcissistic boss replies all so that everyone receives what should have been a private message only to you. His reply, "I need to talk to you about this. This seems really far-fetched." Your coworkers just chalk it up to your boss's awkward humor, but you can feel that sinking pit in your stomach. You're mortified, left speechless, wondering, why did he say this in front of everyone? This isn't just casual teasing or friendly banter. It's a calculated move to diminish your standing in front of others, to make you feel small, vulnerable, and isolated. When humiliation happens in a public setting, the intention isn't just to hurt you. It's also to show others that they have the upper hand in the relationship. People who genuinely care about you will understand the boundaries of humor and respect, especially in a public setting. A narcissist, however, weaponizes these moments to exert control, to send a clear message: I can bring you down anytime I want. You might feel like you should just brush it off or laugh along to hide the hurt, but the hurt is real and it's intentional. And it's another piece of the puzzle of their overarching strategy to keep you off balance, to erode your self-worth. In the grand scheme, each of these insults might appear isolated or insignificant, but when you're on the receiving end of these tactics, they seem to have different motives: to hurt you or to belittle you or to keep you off balance or reduce your self-esteem. But all of these tactics have one unifying theme: power. At their core, these behaviors are about gaining, maintaining, and exerting control in order to gain power. But why is power so essential to a narcissist? Narcissists are not solely driven by pure desire to harm or degrade, although this can be a byproduct. Instead, their primary drive is to position themselves in a place of dominance, making sure that they continuously receive narcissistic supply. This term refers to the attention, admiration, and emotional responses they extract from you. This supply feeds their ego and reinforces their sense of self. For a narcissist, every relationship is a zero-sum game where the person with the power wins and the person without the power loses. And they do not want to lose. Ever. Every tactic, be it public humiliation, backhanded compliments, or perpetual comparisons, serves the purpose of extracting power from you so that they can gain the upper hand. The impact on you is twofold. You become reliant on the narcissist for validation, reinforcing their power, while simultaneously you feel diminished and less capable of challenging or leaving the dynamic, reinforcing your powerlessness. This is the narcissist's ultimate goal: keeping you stuck in this parasitic power play, ensuring a consistent and never-ending supply. What makes these tactics especially poisonous is their subtlety. They often blend seamlessly into conversations, masquerading as genuine concern, affection, or even guidance. So over time, this steady drip of manipulation erodes your self-confidence, leaving you even more susceptible to their control. When you're at the mercy of these dynamics, it's hard to make sense of why they are sometimes nice and sometimes cruel. It almost seems like you're dealing with two different people. But when you understand that this is always about power, you can see that the small moments of kindness are just as cruel as the moments of insult, because they're both intended for the same purpose: to render you powerless. So the big challenge is making sure that you're not only spotting the power play, but anticipating it. This means remembering that although these insults are painful, they're not necessarily about causing pain, but rather about sustaining a power balance. And when you're dealing with a narcissist, their goal is always about gaining superiority and ensuring that they are the dominant force in the relationship. So here's how you need to play the game from now on. Instead of focusing on the insult, focus on maintaining your own power. Instead of allowing the insult to negatively affect you, see the game for what it is and refuse to hand over your power. By recognizing the motive, you've taken a crucial step towards reclaiming your life and beginning to heal. To learn more about the steps to recovering from narcissistic abuse and how to actually take back your power, I have this video for you to watch next.